for joining us at Ballymanu Dogs Day out this morning. And it's the first time I've ever been at a dog event that's inside and the sun's at keys turning on, which is remarkable. And I hope you all have a wonderful day today. My name's Catherine. I'm going to be hosting the expert stage today, and I'm delighted to announce a panel of expert speakers who are going to be talking about everything from pain and hydrotherapy to behaviour, child safety, how to take the best picture of your pet, and much, much, much more. And if you want to find out the times and the details of what they're going to be doing up here today, all the events are listed just outside the door there. Please don't pay too much attention to time because we're running behind schedule. Anyway, without further ado, I'd like to introduce to the stage Claire, who's from the Canine Clinic. And Claire's going to be discussing everything about canine pain, how you can best identify this in your own dog to ensure their welfare and happiness, and what to do. So, without further ado, Claire, take it away.
Big strong to their feet. The third, proving it there. What is part of it? Hi, they're playing fenster in months and they just going to feed. And I just put a couple of sides together, just kind of, and I'll explain a little bit about me, about the clinic, and this was why I got into hypertherapy, physiotherapy, and that, and it's obviously the main source here is canine pain. So just a little bit about me, I did started with dog training, did up with the age at 7 because of the Vegas. I worked with a guy dog for it. And I'll take different insurance help for a little bit with insects. People was ahead of the invents like the cars. Was it? Yeah. Alright. So basically it's what the fly job here, licensing hedgehogs in Australia. Corey had one school called training thing was, and then realised that actually it was like at the afterfair, the rehab side of stuff, and I really liked, and I thought it was to say, nope, but just the effect. Brian more up here there, for you mentioned the quad style skin that is into the aftercare and stuff. So I had this weird that there's this pipe therapy out there that's encompass the reason. So I looked into the other poor, and I went to Australia, and when I came past, I started working in the Laddie Venner Hospital. So I did my qualification free at National University and the postgrad over there at the Canine, which is amazing at computers. And then I got 5 years, and then basically in 2019, just before the pandemic hit, I really opened for Canine dinner. I worked for 3 weeks, and then I shut the place down for 6 months, I think it was. And then it been open since, so it's just went from strength to strength for 3 days on. So, and then just the bad roads. So there's a lot of places that I'd set off for the MNC, because the day bit, I suppose, slim. There's not a lot of maternity regulation or enough regulation around certain into dogs. So you're members of what's called IRBAP, which is the Institute of Registered Veterinary Physiotherapists. So that means that we work under our own scope practice, and we work under kind of strict safety and strict regulations, basically. Just to make sure that your dog's safety is at like the part of what you do. This is quite a busy slide. I wanted to put all these things up here because I hear so much, like when clients come into me, they say, oh, if only my dog could talk. Or, oh, you know, if only they could tell us they're in pain. And they do. And this is how it's to all things different ways. They're telling us that they're uncomfortable, or that they're, if you go near a certain area, that they don't want you to touch them, or they start becoming aggressive with kids in the house, so they start becoming aggressive with the dog next door, and they had never done that before. So there are a million ways to see when a dog is uncomfortable in a situation, or in pain, or discomfort. So in a session, when I first meet you, I would be assessing the dog as they are, just in the environment, and then assessing the dog as I start to call paces and we go around certain areas of the body where the dog is trying to tell me that there might be an issue. So that would be through light way line, so showing the white in their eye, could be just looking back quickly at a different area that I'm looking at. They could be trying to move away from me, or lip licking. That's a big thing. Another one would be yawning. So a lot of time in the first session you might see the dog yawn, and the owner would say, oh, they're tired. But actually they're just trying to calm themselves down, and it's just a little bit stressed, And these are all things that I'm picking up on, so that I can deliver the calmest and most kind of, I suppose, positive session of the go in their first meeting with me, so that they actually want to come back. So these are all the different ways that your dog is telling you that was a problem. So yes, dogs do bark when the daily around. So arthritis is the biggest issue in dogs. It's the main cause of pain in dogs. Arthritis is basically a big word for a lot of different types of things. So it's simply because arthritis is inflammation of a joint. I think what people mistake is that, they say, my dog's not old, he had possibly have arthritis. But actually, arthritis can matter at any age. And this is mainly because what we're seeing, I suppose, very much down to breeding, is that these kind of very developmental joint disease processes are happening. So they'd be, and I'm sure you probably all heard that at one point, the hip dysplasia and the element is being done, where the joint just isn't fitting in properly. So osteoarthritis is the most common cause of pain in dogs, and you probably, at one point, the dog might diagnose with it, because it affects 80% of dogs who are age of 8 years old, and potentially 35% of all dogs. So that's huge. So even a dog that is born can have arthritis. And that's something to bear in mind, because I hear a lot as well of like, but they're not old, if they're getting old even. But it could show up at any age. So it's, I suppose, learning what the signs are of when it is actually to kick in and what you need to be looking out for. The word dysplasia just leaves them more abnormal joint development. So what happens in the joint when arthritis starts kind of festering away, and there's degenerations to the hardest structures of the joint? This is the start of the process. And once that starts to kick in, pain starts to hit. So the dog they'll have a use like a British clothing, like a stifle or like a knee. They'll have the juice start to move into their knee. So because of pain, they don't want to use it fully. And so then basically they can't actually put it in full range of movement. This region is where the muscles, ligaments and tendons, so it had a knock-on effect to actually be brain. And this is when you start to see your compensation movement patterns. So if the dog has an issue in the hind leg, they start overloading the front limbs. So you can start to see elbows need to rotate outwards, leaning more so on one leg than the other. And then what I find a lot in pretty much, I would say 90% of the cases that come into me we find palpating down their spine, that they start to have these active trigger points. So they're like areas of really tight muscle tension in the body. It's like us having knots in our shoulders when we move our laptops all the time, that kind of thing. So these are all compensation movement patterns. I suppose with the treatment of physio and hydro, we're targeting the whole body as a whole body, not just, he's got a bad knee, let's look at that. So basically what happens then, the dog has a constant pain and the brain goes into overdrive, and this is where their pain threshold can kind of get a bit funny, and getting pain under control can take a bit longer. So this is kind of what we're trying to do as a boy, is get into that stage where the body will already, this hypersensitive even, will just take longer to wind down that pain. So I suppose how to recognise that the dog is in pain is really important, and the obvious things are their behaviour starts to change. So that is like, you or your dog, word of warning for your dog, and then just that, that was a bit weird, started acting funny. So as you have character, snapping or biting, telltales was something wrong. Going to do normal commands like before. So I get this a lot where the owner asks the dog to sit, and the dog will just look at them and kind of make them to go back a little bit, but won't sit. And they're like, he's just in bold. But actually, a lot of the time, he's not in bold. It's uncomfortable, or he doesn't want to sit. And that's why he's like, these are not going to sit. So they're not just being bold, it could actually be pain. Another one, obvious one would be like morning I jump into the fire like a problem, and now they're kind of hesitant or reluctant. Same thing with jumping on the bed. They might have done that in easily, and now it's becoming a bit of an issue for them. Or the couch, it's another thing. So we're just watching all these little signs that might tell you that, okay, there's maybe something needs them. Walking is another big one. So your dog will start to walk, suddenly you take off the bead and they don't want to go. Or you're doing a normal walk and you're 20 minutes in and the dog stops and sits down. So again, with the wind, I go, that's a bit weird. And if it happens maybe more than once, you might start to think, actually, that's not just one-off situation, there's something going on. And the other one is not being with its weight anymore. So after a couple of sessions of rewarming grade, a lot of the time coolers will come back and say, oh my God, they started thinking for toys again. Or they could jump into the car again, or, you know. So the toy thing is another big thing to watch if they are big into playing with toys. So Endeavour Get a Hold is another one I hear a lot, but actually from Lex primarily. And always like, oh, he's just getting overdone, you know, they're aren't we all? But actually, there's so much we do for our dogs when they have to leave them, you know, so they're going to get old. So yes, if you hear yourself saying this, please filter that. So the things we're looking at are, we do you on exercise, you on a walk, and to come home with the dog, rest for a little while, and then is it really so? Do you have back over them? And we kind of think, oh, that's a little bit slow. Or do you go after long periods of rest that they're very slow to get up, or that they're finding it difficult from getting up from your floors. So like everybody here probably has wooden floor and tile or different things like that. So if the dog wasn't having a problem before and then suddenly it's exciting trying to get up, again, that could be another extra, there might be something happening. And lagging behind the walks is another one. So, you know, I'm used to be ahead of you or next to you and then suddenly it's behind you. That's another thing to bear in mind that could be an issue. Requiring more assistance to go on everyday activities. Again, like also they maybe need to use a hand getting into the car when they didn't before, or they stand and making the juice down and couch when they didn't record. So again, just start tuning your mind into like watching their movements and their postures and how they function. Over grooming, that's a really obvious one, and I know a lot of dogs here have probably loads of skin condition because of that, which Catherine, the skin that we into talk about later. For over grooming, and again, every Paul is in context of opinions. So over grooming, so excessive licking and chewing around a certain area. So like if you knew your dog was over arthritis and they're licking around the wrist and actually make themselves bleed, or their colour, the colour of the coat is changing, that can be a sign. But they're like, oh my God, she's like really stained coating. That could be a sign that there is an issue. Maybe on the joint to buck, at the joint we're actually licking, or maybe bones would go. And chewing on a paw as well would be a sign like there's nerve pain. So a lot of the time a kind leg, like adult has been knocked out, for example, may end up with residual nerve pain, and they tend to chew their feet quite a bit, chew their foot. So again, if it's something that it's drawing your attention, I've had a owner give out one day she explained that every evening the dog would just lick, and that noise, she said the noise is actually driving me mental, you know, and she was like, she's sick dog to bed, and hadn't sleep anymore because the dog won't stop licking itself. So again, go to rest. Restlessness and panting, that's a good one because it is, especially like in the summer months, you might find, you know, the dog's panting during the day. It's not normal, to be thirsty, that's normal. But at night time, when it's cool, it's in your house, they're not thirsty, and it's not hot, and you find that they're just panting, pacing around the place, and it's almost a stressed pant. It's not really just like, oh, my mouth might happy, you know, it's a really stressing pant, and they're restless. They maybe can't get comfortable on their bed, and they circle quite a lot. So you'd always be signs that the dog is uncomfortable, which we know for whichever reason. Like, actually going into a lie down as well is a good thing to watch. So is your dog very careful when he lies down? He's very careful when he gets back up again. These are all the things you just need to start finding out.
But by was the straight cut over.
So you realise that the dog is in pain, so what you do have. I would say a good 85% of my clients are overweight, and for a dog, that is huge. So, you know, fat is like fibre to the tissue. So if your dog is carrying around a lot of excess weight on its joints, this is just going to speed up the arthritis process. And it's harder just to get things under control. So if you can manage the weight, one, it's free. It's, you know, you're not paying your rent, you're not paying me to anything. You just cut back the treats, or you get them on a low-calorie diet, and start to just really, really be careful. And also it's hard in family units because people, you know, everyone left, right and centre are giving their dogs treats and stuff. So it's hard to know how much your dog is actually getting in a day. Or you've got like a typical Labrador who goes out on a walk and finds something in a bush somewhere. So it is hard, but it is the cheapest, fastest, easiest way to actually make your dog feel better. Modifying your exercise regimes is really important. I got back from Australia about 10 years ago, and my dog I kind of had forgotten that my dog aged while I was away. And my vet was just like, because we were going on these walks that he just wasn't able for anymore, which was heartbreaking. But my vet was like, you need to remember he is older now. So reducing down and finding what works for your dog. So yes, we all want to go out on a nice long walk, but if your dog is not able for it, he's going to pay for it later. So I would always say quality over quantity. So home modifications also really important, and I know, a lot of people are house proud. I think a lot of people with dogs kind of just have let that go at one point or another, and we just get over it. There's dog hair everywhere, it's fine. But putting down mats like yoga mats or a carpet or something where the dog likes lying down and maybe sits and slides trying to get up, put down something grippy, because what will happen is the dog will be able to kind of correct itself, put himself into a functional position, and then power himself up, rather than this pulling from the front limbs, which is all causing repetitive injuries. It's all causing excessive strains on different parts of the body. Diet supplements, you can add these in. Again, there's so much in the market at the moment for diet supplements and things. Omega-3s are proven to really help with dogs' joints and green up muscle. There's a couple of other things, but they're the main ones. So if you are going to spend your money on supplements, go with those. Complementary therapies, which would be me. So like physio and hydro, essentially what I do is physio in the pools. I'm just using properties of water to kind of enhance their treatment. But complementary therapies are amazing. We do acupuncture as well, which is brilliant for pain. So if your dog can't tolerate pain, it's an absolutely amazing treatment to get. So the physio and the hydro, basically what we're trying to do is we educate your dog's posture and we educate their movement so that they're distributing their weight properly between each limb, that they're starting to get better function maybe in the limb that's at fault or the limb that's starting to show signs of pain. And basically, the complementary therapy is absolutely brilliant. Common vet medications, again, this is where you go to your vet, and your dogs may or may not have been on non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, which would be the first thing they probably try, and then there's a lot of different types of pain relief to target different pain pathways. So if you're close to your dog on something and it doesn't work, don't give up. Like, go back and say that didn't work, because maybe that's not the type of pain that the dog actually has. So there's so many different types of pain relief. It's just finding the right one for your dog is important. So again, give it time. Don't, I gave him 2 days and it didn't work. Do give it time and talk to your vet about it. And, maybe taking videos of your dog so that your vet can see that is really important as well. Because sometimes they'll come in to the consult room and they're full of adrenaline and they're totally fine. And your vet isn't seeing a clear reflection of what they're actually like at home. Further vet intervention, obviously, then would be surgical or straight and things like that. So I suppose how to avoid getting your dog into a bit of trouble. Simple things like when you get a puppy, don't over-exercise it as much as you want to take it out to see everybody and everything. Just don't over-exercise puppies. Don't let them jump down off couches and run around slippy floors. Treat them like you would a baby. So you wouldn't let your 5-month-old baby throw itself off the couch and think that it was going to be okay. Same thing with puppies, just really mind them. Their joints are growing up to the 15 months. So you've got 15 months of being very careful so that you've got a good dog that has good joints to go forward into its life. The weekend warrior thing, that would be another, that happens a lot, where people don't do anything all week long and the dog's basically just lounging around the house, and then suddenly they go out and do a big hike up a mountain and the dog comes back and he's crippled. So that would be quite a common thing, that the dog just isn't fit enough. It's the same with us. If you went to the gym and worked for 2 hours once a week and then went home and sat on your couch, you'd be pretty stiff as well, Jumping out of high cars, as much as it is an everyday life thing and we don't really think much about it, it is causing excessive forces through a dog's joints. So it's just something to bear in mind. And I know ramps aren't ideal and ramps can be really annoying, but they do have a place. And finally, repetitive exercise like ball throwing, again, another one. I hate saying it because I know so many dogs love chasing the ball, but it is actually causing probably a lot of damage, especially if a dog has been diagnosed with elbow dysplasia. Please don't throw a ball for it. Dogs love it, but it's just not great. And to demonstrate it, I got this video from YouTube. It's really nice. and it's in slow motion, so it shows you exactly what's happening, the joints, as the dog runs to the ball. This is Odin, it's handsome. So if, like, this is all fine, it's running, it's extending itself, it's lovely. But when he goes to actually get the ball, the minute he stops, it's those excessive forcings that can really, really cause a lot of damage. So here he goes. Did you see it call him into his shoulders, into his spine? Here now. Oh God, he was coming. So that kind of thing. And I mean, in slow motion, it's brilliant to see something like that because it does show exactly what's happening in the joints. So, but maybe you have to watch the one thing.
Hi, Odin.
Sorry, don't patch got it listening, but okay. Sorry. Oops. So, I don't know how to move this pig, but anyway. So what we offer in the Canine clinic to kind of help with all these issues is physiotherapy. So the first session is generally a land-based session. This is a full assessment to see what your dog is like, and to meet you guys and get a full history and everything like that. The hydrotherapy pool, it was made in just actually before Brexit, so I was very lucky again. And it's 4 meters by 2 meters, so it's nice and big, and there's a platform going the whole way around. I am in the pool at all times, and that's something, if you do look for hydrotherapy around the country and different things like that, is always try and make sure they're going to someone with the therapist in the pool or the treadmill. Also, I found, when I was looking up stuff for this, I found a guy holding a bar and like 3 little dogs hanging off the bar swimming. Please don't go to someone like that either. We offer acupuncture, which is performed by a vet. In veterinary, it can only be performed by a vet. It can't actually be performed by anyone else. We offer canine hydrotherapy courses as well to the clinic. It's a UK company, and we do a practical side of it, which is great. Nutrition advice, weight clinics. As I said, weight management is one of the things that is first and foremost in a pain treatment. We've close relationships to trainers and behaviourists, and we have a variety of specialised products available as well in the clinic. And then creating a support network so that if you have issues with your dog, you have someone that you want to go and talk to and that understands what you're going through as well. So the main benefits are to relieve pain and improve comfort, prevent further injuries, improve coordination and balance, increase strength, flexibility and range of motion, and improve endurance and cardiovascular performance, and overall psychological well-being. So actually, even recently, myself and Catherine have met to a client, and from a confidence point of view, even if the dog didn't have anything physically wrong with it, it's amazing. It's absolutely, so really, really helps from a confidence point of view as well as just physically. So that's just touching on what I said before about using the pool just to enhance a physiotherapy treatment. So it's not just swimming a dog. We're using specialised treatments, we're using therapeutic handling, and the pool is a nice toasty 32 degrees as well. So it's really nice from relieving any muscle tension as well. So the conditions we treat, it's pretty much everything, to be honest. But our main client would probably be the geriatric dog, so that's the older fella who needs a little bit of help for it to improve quality of life. And again, it's very hard, when you go into a park and you see lots of dogs around. I tend not to go into parks anymore because it's too, I'm just like, you leave me. So geriatric dogs, yeah, it's very hard to see them just kind of like going on, living their life silently in pain. It's really hard. So hopefully just recognizing that older dogs actually, we can improve their mobility, we can improve the quality of life. Joint conditions, the elbow and hip dysplasia, they're very common now, and that's probably down to the breeding and COVID and everything like that in the last couple of years, but very common. So we're seeing a lot of puppies with early issues coming into the clinic. Neurological conditions, also quite common. If you haven't had a dog with a spinal injury and you're very lucky, it's not a nice thing to see. And again, just looking at your breeds, and before buying or rescuing a dog, knowing about the breed and the possible conditions that come along with that, but very important. Soft tissue injuries and other conditions like that would be so pre and post-surgical, so with the cranial cruciate ligament. So that's your TPLO or your TTA. A lot of you probably heard of that as well. Obesity. So I don't really advertise this as like a treatment or anything for obesity. It's part of your weight management or your weight loss program, but it won't solely get your dog to lose weight. Osteoarthritis management, that's their main one. So, hydrotherapy and physiotherapy in conjunction with your vet's treatment is what's going to get your dog back up to, where it was before. And conditioning and endurance training, we don't see as much as that, the athletic dog. We don't see as much of that in Ireland as they would more so in the UK. But hopefully we'll get there with things like next door and everything coming up. It's great. And then general fitness. So some dogs just come in for the crack. So safe practice around the treatment of your dog is extremely important. And again, I've just put this in here solely because if this has sparked your interest in hydrotherapy clinics and things like that, it's nice to be aware of like what's normal practice and maybe what's not so safe for your dog. So we're doing dynamic risk assessment throughout our whole session. So this is making sure that your dog is under control at all times. He will be on a harness or a lead with someone. No slippery floors. Being careful if the dog needs, if it's an older dog and it needs help getting up a step or anything like that, or up the ramp in and out of the pool, we be very careful with all that kind of stuff. We never let the dog take toys off the water line, and I know we all throw stuff in lakes and we all throw stuff in rivers for our dogs, but actually it can cause water intoxication. So from a professional therapeutic point of view, we don't do it. The dog can actually come along, we'll give the toy to the dog if that's how the dog is motivated, but they never take it off the water line. They always wear a harness, and that's for us to have a hold on them at all times. They're not buoyancy harnesses, so they don't float in the water. They actually have to use their core, which is really important. So if you can kind of think of this, it's kind of like doggy Pilates in a way, engaging their core and getting all that strong again. Hygiene is really important, so the water in the pool should look clear. If you're going somewhere and it's dirty and disgusting, again, it's a no-no. Ventilation's important, and then dog-centered techniques and bones. So this is all about your dog, and as much as sometimes people want to come into sessions, and sometimes they do, a lot of the time the dog actually benefits more without being there, just like they would a child want to school with the same thing. So I spoke a little bit about that already, about what happens in your first session. And again, we're next door, Neva Stone next door, so if there's any other questions about sessions and things like that, you can just pop over and say hi. I just wanted to put in a tiny thing on Doris, a kind of a case study. So she was a dog who was rescued, seemed to have had a horrible life, being rescued, and she had a lot of injuries and a lot of scars, and couldn't tolerate pain relief. But she was given pain relief for a long time, and she ended up with all these stomach ulcers, so had to stop. And basically the owner didn't really know what to do, and she had just, word of mouth. I think her neighbour came to me, and that's how she found out about me. She's been coming for, I would say, the last year and a half. She's on an anti medication. She gets acupuncture and hydrotherapy physiotherapy. She's actually only down just a hydro every 3 weeks now. And this is her. This is kind of an underwater video of Jarvis, if you can see that in the light. So what's important to note is that if there's nobody in the pool, and a lot of times vets say, just take them swimming in the river, it's not the same thing. What I'm trying to do here is encourage her to actually reach for my hand and start extending her hips and really forcefully kicking with her hind legs. If without me in the pool, she's kind of holds her back legs up, and she, if I'm not actually giving her assistance. So again, that's where I suppose knowledge and having a therapist in the pool with the dog makes far more sense than just letting a dog swim around the face, So this is how you get referred. You just basically ask your vet, you speak with your vet, tell them that you would like your dog to have physio or hydro, and they can contact me. So we work by law under regular referral, and again, that's so that we can give your dog the best possible care. And it's important for us to have a good relationship with your vet as well. That is the end of that. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask me, you can now, if you want, can they? Yeah, you can. or we are next door just at the back of the room. Yes? You do, yeah, and that's all it takes. So online now, we actually have a form online that your vet can fill out really easily. It's trying to make life a bit easier for them. But even emailing your history and just saying your dog is fit for hydrotherapy. So again, that's just to tell us that your dog's been seen by a vet, so that let's say they've no underlying heart conditions because they are in a pool at 32 degrees. So we just have to be careful from that sense of things. Because again, a dog with water and any other conditions, underlying conditions it could be a bad thing. Oh, we get that all the time. Yeah, I know. So I'm in there. So it's kind of, another client jokes that it's like bringing her dog for swimming lessons. And it is. And then the dog ends up going in swimming in the sea or going in swimming in the river, which is a great form of exercise if they're doing it properly. So, no, I would say 70% of dogs that come to us don't know. Huh?
Watch. Leave a purpose.
Yeah. No, most of them are like that, or they don't like the waves or that kind of thing. Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions?
No. See.
Cool.
Now, thank you, Treasure. I could listen to you talk about this stuff all day, and Darren, I would work like